Good afternoon. My name is Bill Zariello, and I work as a trainer in the Solid Training Unit of the Department of Consumer Affairs. And today, I will be showing you how to use styles in Microsoft Word to create a table of contents. Understanding how to use styles in Word will cut down your formatting time immensely. The program's built-in capabilities for defining and applying styles in your documents are easy to use and offer quite a range of formatting options. You can use the pre-formatted styles in the ribbons, modify the existing ones offered, or create your own. You can also make the styles in Microsoft Word match the ones you have previously formatted by hand within your own document. Using the styles allows you to insert an automatic table of contents easily and quickly update it whenever you make a change. This information is also included in our Word Level 3 course, Advanced Functions for Complex Documents. You can find classes on all levels for both Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel by searching in the Learning Management System, or the LMS, for upcoming session dates. Each level for both Word and Excel is usually offered twice a year. If you access this course through the LMS, there is also a link to a documentation packet which walks you through the process I am showing you step by step for you to download for reference later. Our objectives today, we're going to be applying styles. These are pre-formatted styles right inside of the Microsoft application. We're also going to be using style sets on the Design tab. We're going to be modifying those pre-formatted styles inside of Microsoft in case we would like them to look or feel a little bit differently. We're going to be creating a brand new style based off one of the existing styles in Microsoft Word so that they have the same look and feel but maybe want them to be a different color or an underline. And then we're going to also update the styles in Microsoft Word to match a selection of text formatting that we have selected within an existing document. So we don't have to pre-format and modify it by hand. We'll let Microsoft do the work for us. Once we've styled our entire document, we will go ahead and create our table of contents. If we make some changes to that table of contents, such as put different headers on different pages, or we change the spelling of individual words that may be part of our table of contents, we will regenerate our table of contents one more time. For our example today, we're going to be using an August volunteer newsletter that was created for the Shelby Field Animal Rescue, which is currently all set up in the style of normal. If you use Microsoft Word like I do, you probably open up a brand new blank document and just start typing away. And if you do, you are probably entering all of your text using the style of normal, which is usually set to the default font and font size in the blank template that is used for every new document. And in this case, it's Calibri 11 point. To make any areas stand out, like a chapter heading, a section heading, a subsection, I used to go back and select that item and then reformat it using any of my font tools. Make it bold, italicize, underline, color, in order to make it stand out, and I could tell where my chapter headings were in my document. However, this does not help when it comes time to generate a table of contents using Microsoft Word later. So I learned to use the style group here because inside of here is a style for heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, title, subtitle that I should be using. And then the system will recognize these headings and generate a table of contents for me automatically. Heading 1, 2, and 3 are used by default when Microsoft Word generates a table of contents for you. So the first thing we need to do is apply styles to our document. So in order to apply styles, I'm going to turn on my show hide paragraph markers in the document. That's this little backwards P. And you can see the paragraph markers appear in my document. If I put my cursor in Shelby Field Animal Rescue, from the start of that line, or where that new paragraph begins to the paragraph marker, which shows the end of that paragraph, I'm going to apply the style of title. I put my cursor anywhere in that section, I drop down my styles box, and I place title on it. If I hover over it, I can see what it will look like. And if I click on it, it places that title style on there for me. Now, if I click anywhere else in the document, it is seen as normal, but my Shelby Field Animal Rescue is seen as title, as that's the style that is in use. My August volunteer update, I'm going to use the subtitle style for that. And I just click on that and select it. Now, a message from our directors is a section heading. Adopted this month is a section heading. Featured pets, a section heading. Updated adoption process, a section heading. And then donations, I will go ahead and make that a subsection headings underneath updated adoption process. So my section headings are all going to be considered heading 1. A message from the director, I will apply heading 1. Adopted this month, heading 1. Featured pets, heading 1. Updated adoption process, heading 1. And then the subsection for donations, I will make heading 2. All of those styles are in place in the particular document. Now, because I have styled the document, I'll turn off my show hide paragraphs. Now I can see differences in my formatting without having to have it done by hand on each one of them as we went through. Because the document has been styled, I can now go to the Design tab and the Document Formatting section here. These drop downs here are all style sets. And it shows you different style families that you can place on a document. And anywhere where there's title, subtitle, heading 1, heading 2, it will update with the appropriate style settings in this family. What I'm going to place on here is going to be this particular one, which is Lines Stylish. And as I hover over it, you can see that it's going to slightly change some of my styles so that all of my heading 1s are now in black font, but they have an orange underline on each one of them. And I'm going to go ahead and just place this style family or style set on it. It updates all of my styles in the document according to how they were first selected. The one thing I do not like about this particular style set that I'm putting in here is that title is too big. So we can modify any of these styles once we place them in our document. If Shelby Field Animal Rescue is too big, I'm going to put my cursor inside of that particular item, and I'm going to go and find the style that is in use, which is title. And instead of placing that on there, I'm going to do a right click on title itself and choose modify. Now it's currently set for 48 point, which is fairly large. I'm going to bump that down to 36. And you can see that it no longer forces the text to wrap because this is a preview of what it will look like. I like it at that size, and I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. It updates my title itself, and it updates the title style itself to be 36 instead of 48. Now, if I need to go through and take a look at a couple other things, I'll look at normal. Now, normal in my document, as I said, was set to Calibri and 11 point. In this case, it's been set from the style family to Calibri and 10.5 point. Web accessibility says that most documents should have a sans serif font, which is no footers in there, and they should be at least 12 point or above. There may be preferences with your different departments which say 14 point and above. So I'm going to have to change normal to not be 10.5 point, but to go to 12 point. So with my cursor in a section that is denoted as normal, I'm going to go up to normal and do a right click and choose modify. And I'm going to change the 10.5 point to 12 point. Shows you a preview of what it will look like, and I will click OK. And everywhere that normal is used in the document, it updates that text to be 12 point all the way through. So you can go through and place styles which are currently pre-formatted into your document. Once you've styled your document, you can go to the Design tab and place a style family, which will then say, based on what you've chosen as your title, subtitle, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, I will go ahead and update those to match the family that's been put together. These are always styles that all relate very well to one another. And if for some reason something is too large or too small, you can go ahead into that style and do a right click and modify it however you would like. Now, because I have this Shelby Field Animal Rescue, I'm looking at this and I like this, a message from the director, but I want this to stand out a little bit more differently from all the other heading ones. So I'm going to create a new style based off of heading 1 that is going to have a blue color to the font and a blue underline. So it just stands out that much more from the other heading ones that are in use. And I'll call it a whole new name. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my cursor into the area where I would like to create the new style. I'm going to use this down arrow in the right corner, which means there are more options in this particular group than can be shown on the ribbon. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down to the bottom where it says New Style. That's the A with the plus. I click on it, and it says, what do you want to call this new style? And I'm going to call it Blue Header. It's going to be a paragraph style, and it's based off of heading 1 because that's where I had my cursor. It says, I'll take everything in heading 1 here, and now you change it to what you want Blue Header to look like. So the only thing I want to do is I want to change the black text to blue, or make it darker blue. And then I want to change the orange underline, or the orange border on the bottom, to a blue border on the bottom. And I'm going to do that in this format button down here in the lower left. Drop down format. I'm going to choose the border. I'm going to change the color to that darker blue. Now it shows this is what I'm going to be using for borders. However, it still shows that the orange border is in use. So I have to click on that orange border to change it to the blue border. And I can even make it slightly larger so it stands out just a little bit. And then click OK. There's what it's going to look like. And I will click OK. It places the new header in there as blue header, and it's at this in my style box if I want to use it in different locations other than just there. So in that section, we learned how to apply pre-existing formatted styles from the styles group right into our existing document. We learned how to apply a style set onto an entire document that has been previously styled. We also learned how to modify those styles in the document if we needed to, and how to create another style off of an existing style already in use in our document. The next section that we're going to be working on is how to update styles in that pre-formatted style grouping in Microsoft Word should we have pre-formatted all of our heading information in the document already. So now we will look at a document that has been styled by hand, as in all the text is still seen in a normal style, even though it looks like we may have used the styles inside of Microsoft Word to create our headings. And you need to update the style choices within the Word application to match for consistency in case others are editing the document as well. It is best practice to make sure that the formatting styles being used in your document for your headings are consistent with the styles that are available for use in the styles group. Otherwise, you may have people using styles you don't want, thinking that these are the headings you're using in the document. So we are going to use the update style to match heading selection function. And this is often the easiest way to modify and work with styles in Microsoft Word very quickly. So we're going to open this document. Notice the document has been hand formatted to look like styles are in use. But what has happened is the user opened Microsoft Word, then typed in the text, and then hand formatted the title Hand formatted heading 1 and heading 2 because you notice everything stays in normal style all the way through. If I use the Generate Table of Contents feature in Microsoft Word to try and have Word automatically generate that table of contents for me based on the headers in use in my document, nothing's going to happen because there are no actual headings in use in the document. So how do I use styles now? Without having to use a pre-formatted style that I may not want to use, or without having to modify every single style up here meticulously to try and match what I have in use in my document. We can use the update heading to match the selection in the document feature. So I'm going to turn on my show and hide paragraph markers again so I can see where the paragraph markers on so I will know where those styles are being placed. And I'm going to change the performance analysis and the use of marketing plans and budgets as managerial tools into a heading 1. And then the rest of the headings in here, I'm going to make heading 2. So I'm putting my cursor inside of performance analysis. If I hover over heading 1 to convert it to heading 1, it will change it to the pre-formatted heading 1 in Microsoft Word. This alters my document all the way through. I don't want to have to modify the style to get it back to where I started. So to make heading 1 in Microsoft Word match what I'm using for heading 1 in my document, I'm placing my cursor in performance analysis within the beginning of the document to that paragraph marker. I'm going to right-click on heading 1, which is the heading I would like to place on it, and I'm going to use the option to update heading 1 to match the selection I have selected in the document. And when I click on that, it updates heading 1 to match exactly what I have in my document. And now that Word has modified that heading to match that one, I can go through and use heading 1 on use of marketing plan. Places the exact same style on there, but it is seen as heading 1 now, and budget as managerial tools. I'm going to do the same thing with sales analysis, but I want to make this my heading 2. So I'm going to put my cursor inside of sales analysis, which is going to take everything from this paragraph marker to this paragraph marker, and I'm going to make it heading 2. I don't want to use the pre-formatted heading 2 that's in here. With my selection in that particular location, I'm going to do a right click and say update my heading 2 to match the selection from my document. And now heading 2 is set to match that, and I can place heading 2 on all my other items I would like to make heading 2. Changes nothing within my document, but it allows me to go through, and now these items are seen as heading 1, normal, heading 2, normal, heading 2. And that's how Microsoft Word is going to generate the table of contents. It's based off of heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3 in use in my document by default. Now let's say after I've done all of that, I need to change heading 2. And somebody says, well, we have heading 1 centered. Can't we have heading 2 centered? I can do that very easily by either modifying this and changing it to centered, or I can take one of my heading 2s in the document, use the paragraph formatting to center it, and go back up to heading 2 and right click and update my heading 2 to match my selection. And everywhere where heading 2 is used within my document, it will automatically update the format of that particular heading 2 in use as well. Once the document's been styled with headings, Microsoft Word can use specific style headings to create a table of contents automatically for you. By default, Word wants to use anything that's marked as a heading 1, heading 2, or heading 3 to create your listing in a hyperlinked table of contents. Note that in this document, my styles that are in use for the title is actually the title style that's in the styles group above. Same thing with heading 1, heading 2, and also heading 3. So once I have my document completely styled, I want to make sure that I actually go through and finalize the document layout prior to creating my table of contents, as that can affect my page numbering overall. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the title off of the top of my document, and I'm going to insert a cover page. So I'm going to go to Insert, Cover Page, and I'm going to use one of the pre-formatted pages here. In document title, I will go ahead and paste in, using Control V, the title of the document. I'll get rid of the subtitle because I don't want that. And I will get rid of these fields down here at the bottom as well. Now I have a title page and I have my document, but in between my title page and my document, I'm going to insert a blank page also. So in between the title page and the first piece of text on my document, I'm going to enter in a blank page. And I can do that by entering a blank page here, which drops it in. I could do it by putting in a physical page break, which is the same idea. It pushes all the text from where my cursor is down to the top of the subsequent page. I could go to Layout and choose a page break, or I'll undo that. I could go ahead and use the shortcut keys of Control and Enter. And it enters a page break. And this is where I will put the table of contents for what we are going to be generating. Now, in order to generate the table of contents, it's very simple and easy as long as I've styled my document. I'm going to go to my References tab, and I'm going to go to ahead and drop down Table of Contents. And it's got different built-in styles that are ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and choose Automatic Table 2, and notice it will put the title of Table of Contents in a blue font. It will then have anything marked as heading 1, left aligned, then indent anything that's heading 2, and indent under heading 2 anything that is seen as heading 3 throughout my document. And I'm just going to select that style. And it automatically generates my table of contents based on the styles I have in use in my document. As I look at this, there are a couple of things I want to fix. I have basis of opinion, which has a lowercase o, but then I have other items that are all capitalized. So I want to fix the O in opinion, the O in one, and the C in controller. I can go physically here and try and change it. Nothing stops me from doing it. But when I regenerate my table of contents, it's actually pulling this text in as my entry, and it will update my table of contents with the lowercase o again. So in order for me to change that piece, I have to go into my document, fix the capitalization error there, and I will fix it on 1, and I will fix it on controller as well. And then I'm going to go back up to my table of contents, and I'm just going to click into it, and it has Update Table right here. I'm going to click on that button. It says, do I want to update my page numbers only or update the entire table? I'm going to choose Update Entire Table and click on Enter. It updates those for me. And as I read through this, I have basis of opinion, opinion 1, case 1, opinion 2. Then I have responsibilities of the controller, case 1, responsibility 2. Somewhere in my document, it looks like responsibility 1 has not been indicated properly. So I'm going to go find that particular location. It looks like it's correct. Here's responsibility 2. Here's responsibility 1. But if I click on this particular item for my header, it's still seen as normal. It has been formatted by hand. It has not been formatted using heading 2. So I'm going to put my cursor inside of responsibility 1. Click on heading 2. Because it's exactly the same formatting, it puts the style on there, and I will go back up to my table of contents one more time. Click on the button, update my entire table, and it increases by 1, making room for responsibility 1 for me. One of the items as we're going through here is sometimes we have people who say they want to go ahead and put these last independence, notes to the financial statements, and conclusions on their own pages. And right now they're part of page 5 and part of page 6. So I'm going to go down to independence. We want independence to start on its own page. I'm going to put my cursor in front of the I in independence and do a control enter. Now it will start at the top of page 6. The notes to the financial statements, we want to do another control enter and put that at the top of page 7. And conclusions, we would like to be at the top of page 8. When I go back to my table of contents, it has not updated any of those numbers for us. We have to regenerate the table of contents one more time in order to update our page numbers. When I look at this, I could automatically update the page numbers only. There's no problem with that. I haven't changed any of my headings. If this document has been out of my control and somebody else has been editing it, I would suggest changing it to update entire table just in case somebody has added a heading you're not aware of or they haven't regenerated the table of contents in a while. Because I know it's just page numbers, I'll say update my page numbers only, and it shifts each one of these up. Independence is now on page 6, notes on 7, and conclusions on page 8. Just because I've generated my table of contents doesn't mean I can't continue editing the document. I just want to make sure that I'm not using my styles incorrectly or inadvertently tying them to new text. For example, on opinion 2, somebody says, hey, at the end of this section for case 1, I want to put the logo or the image or a picture. So normally what people would do is they would say, well, right there, I'm going to go ahead and put the picture. I'm going to insert a picture from my device. And it's just a small little picture of an apple. And I insert it. And I want to make sure that my picture is there by itself. So I go ahead and I just move everything down. What happens when I put it there, because opinion 2 is set at heading 2, it also put heading 2 on the Apple image. So when I go to regenerate my table of contents, my Apple or my image or my additional text that has been marked as heading 2 by mistake also pops in my table of contents. Happens all the time. Just in case that does happen, whatever you don't want in your table of contents, you want to go and link to. Go find where it is. And on that item, you want to select it. If it's text, you want to select it. If it's a picture, you want to click on it so it is selected. And switch it from the heading you don't want it to be back to normal. And then go back and regenerate your table of contents one last time. Removes the item that you did not want in there, and you are set to go. So our objectives in this course, we applied styles to an existing Word document. We also learned once we've applied the styles, we could apply an entire family called a style set. We learned how to modify existing styles if we wanted to change something in the pre-formatted style in the Microsoft Word style group. We learned how to create a new style off of an existing style that was in that pre-formatted style group. And we also learned how, if we have pre-formatted our document by hand, we could update the styles in the style group to match the selection that's in our document. Once we have the document styled, anything that is styled as heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 by default is used to automatically generate a table of contents using the reference table of contents function in Microsoft Word. And even though we have edited the document further, we could still go back in and edit either just our page numbers in the table of contents or regenerate a whole new table of contents as we go through. Microsoft Word can do so many other features other than just the basics I've shown in this particular course. If you want a deeper dive on certain subjects in Microsoft Word, here's a breakdown of the 3 Word level courses available through the Learning Management System or the LMS. They should be offered twice a year, and we also offer 3 levels of courses on Microsoft Excel as well. For more information on this topic, you can access and take one of the scheduled level courses in the LMS, or you can always look up additional materials on the web or use the help feature right inside of Microsoft Word itself. Again, my name is Bill Zariello, and I hope that this power topic video on using Microsoft Word styles to create a table of contents was helpful for you. Look in the LMS for other short power topics on other Microsoft products as well.